Hey, welcome to Graphic Policy Television GPTV. I'm Brett. In my hands is Static Season 1, the DC Compact Comics Edition. Now, for those who don't know, DC Compact Comics are, well, miniaturized version of the comics. They're kind of more manga size, actually a little bit bigger than manga, but they also come with a great price point of $9.99. So it's a great way to dive into maybe stories you've never read or go back and check out stuff that you loved. Smaller size also makes it really great for travel. Generally, DC seems to really know what they're doing with this, so it's been kind of fascinating to see what they release throughout the various waves so far. And to me, like, this static one is the most intriguing out of all of them. It is the collection of the latest static series that's been released. I think it's the latest, but kind of the relaunch of Milestone that happened, like 5-ish years ago. I don't know if it was a little bit longer, a little bit less. Feels like about 5-ish years. And for me, that seems kind of interesting. The Milestone relaunch has kind of had some ups and downs. I would call it a choppy relaunch. It hasn't been quite as smooth as one would hope. So I've been kind of surprised. I was a little bit surprised diving into this when I got it, that, this wasn't the original static comics that came out many years ago. I have no idea if DC can reprint them, so that's a whole other thing. But this is the latest static release. As a whole, the DC Compact comics have really felt like they've kind of gone into more classic stuff, evergreen titles, stuff that's like really well known, really popular. So this one, I would probably say out of everything, is maybe the most obscure of the releases. I'm not saying that Static is obscure, but I'd say this latest volume, it doesn't maybe have like quite the classic panache as the original Static that came out. So that's why I think it's an interesting choice. So within it's got the 6 issues of the series, and that's possibly might be why it was chosen, because the static release was done in seasons. 6 issues made up, I think, the first season. There's a little bit of a prelude, a little bit of kind of extra material as well. So it's a little bit more than the 6 issues. So it is kind of a one and done, whereas if you did the previous static, that was a pretty ongoing series. So maybe that went into the choice as well. But it's good. There was a lot I liked about the static relaunch, and there's some things that kind of made me a little frustrated. But overall, I thought it was pretty decent. So it opens up with the story that kind of relaunched the Milestone Universe. I think it was the relaunch of it. I remember reading it, and I think it came out before Static. Not 100% sure on that, though. Written by Reginald Hudlin. Layouts by Dennis Cowan. Finishes and color by Nikolas, Draper-Ivey. There's also pencils by Cowan. Inks by Bill Sienkiewicz with Chris Sotomayor as colors. And then also Chriscross doing pencils. Inks by Juan Castro. Colors by Will Quintana. And lettering by World Designs. So this was kind of like the reintroduction of Static in the Milestone Universe. The short version is that there was a protest. This gas was used by the police on the kids. This untested gas was used on the police, on these kids in protest. And he gave them powers, which kind of had certain characters bolt and take on certain mantles that we are familiar with. And also gave Static and a bunch of other kids their powers. Then that launched in the main Static series, that was written by Vita Ayala, layouts by Chriscross, finishes in color by Nikolas, Draper-Ivey, with lettering by World Design. And that had Virgil kind of living with these powers going on about it, and we saw kind of the fallout of that initial clash with the police. Of course, the government is not going to let a bunch of kids, especially minority kids, have superpowers, so, they're kidnapping the kids, and then Virgil is kind of figuring out what's going on with him and his powers and dealing with bullies, as, you do with powers. You maybe use them against the bullies. It's an interesting issue. There's some things I had problems with. Rereading it, I still have problems with it. I'm trying to think of how to do it without spoiling it. So there's one scene where Virgil battles an enemy. I'll just outright spoil it. Virgil battles an enemy. His house burns down. He uses his power to stop it. His parents are kind of like, don't seem to quite get what's going on. Like, do no neighbors notice that the house is on fire and suddenly stops? Like, no fire trucks are called, like, fire department's called. No one's noticing this battle going on in the front yard. Like, it's a very out-of-place, odd segment and situation. And to me, it kind of takes me out of the story. The rest of it, I think, is pretty solid. But, like, that part just really just pulls me out for some reason. I don't know why I have so much trouble with that battle, but something tweaks me clearly about it. But generally, I like it. Like, I think it's a good introduction. I think it's an intriguing choice for releases. If you've never read a Static series or Milestone at all, like, it's pretty solid. There's also the Milestone Returns preview that happened. That's written by Reginald, Hudlin, and Greg Pak, with art by Jim Lee, Ryan Benjamin, Dennis Cowan, Jimmy Palmiotti, Ryan Benjamin, Donna Oh, Dennis Cowan, Bill Sienkiewicz, Khoi, Pham, and Scott Hanna. Colors by Alex Sinclair, Hi-Fi, Chris Sotomayor, and then lettering by Anwell Design. So we got that as well. Like, overall, I think it's an interesting release. The story is pretty decent. I think the art's pretty solid. I actually really dig Chriscross's style on the Static stuff. Like, I thought it was just a really cool look to it, and it's something I really appreciate. As I said, there's just some minor things here and there that had problems with the house burning down. That was the thing that just took me out of it for some reason. I really don't know why I had so much problem with that segment. But, like, beyond that, I think it's pretty solid storytelling. And for me, like, I never read the original Static, never read all the comics. I read some stuff here and there. So to be able to, like, dive in and get introduced to Static this way is cool. I think I would love to see DC release that original Static, really all the original Milestone stuff in this sort of packaging. I think that would go over super, super well and really revitalize Milestone. I think you'd see tons of interest that way, but, you know, one can hope. We'll see. You never know. I have a feeling to make that happen, though, this has got to be pretty solid success. Overall, though, it's good. It's entertaining. As I said, I think it's the most intriguing of the releases. Like, DC clearly has a plan. There's more stuff to the Milestone universe, so I'm intrigued to see what gets released from here. We haven't really seen, like, second volumes yet, for the most part, being released, so we'll see. I mean, it's all going to be a fascinating thing. Like, I can't tell if you're going to get second volumes of this, or the thought would be as you do with this, and then you follow up with the larger trades that are out. So I don't know. Don't quite know DC's thought process on that, but we'll find out in the future, I guess. So overall, if you've never read Static, I think it's a pretty solid introduction. It's got some great art. It's a solid, I think, restart for the Milestone Universe. We can debate where the Milestone Universe has gone afterwards, but on its own, I think it's really, really good, and it'll get you excited to see more, and we'll just leave it at that. You can go get this. Is out in shops. We got a link beneath our video. Put in your zip code to tell the comic shops near you. No shop, no problem. We have some links where you can purchase your own. There'll be affiliate links, so you get a small percentage. By doing that, you help support our site. And speaking of support, just watching our videos, support us as always, so thank you as well. If you're into comics, check us out every day at graphicpolicy.com. And, of course, we're on Facebook, TikTok, Mastodon, Threads, Blue Sky, all at Graphic Policy, keeping it nice and consistent. So until next time, keep reading those comics and keep it geeky. Hey, thanks for watching the previous video from Graphic Policy Television. Just by watching, you help support our site. Thank you so much. Now, if you're watching these videos, you probably care about geeky things like movies, television, comic books, toys, games, video games, you name it. You can go and subscribe right now to our YouTube channel to stay in touch and catch all the new videos, or check out our website at graphicpolicy.com. There's a nice link on this end of the video. But as always, thank you for watching. Keep on rocking and keep it geeky.